At the celebration dinner after our high school graduation, my childhood friend Olivia suddenly slammed her fork onto the table. She screamed that she hated me, pointing a finger right in my face and calling me a manipulative snake. I just stood there frozen, a half-eaten pizza pocket still in my mouth. I mean, was she out of her mind? She was the one who always said she loved me and couldn't wait for us to get married one day. But whatever, if she doesn't feel that way anymore, I'm not going to beg. As soon as my college applications were in, my family packed up and moved to Minnesota. Months later, Olivia showed up and stood outside my new house in the middle of a literal blizzard all night long. My new girlfriend, Sophia, stood by the window, casually eating a popsicle while she called the neighborhood security. Hey, is this security? You guys need to get over to 15 Kinsley Way right now. There's some crazy girl trying to pull a stunt by freezing to death on our doorstep, and I'm not about to let us be liable for that. None of us saw Olivia's outburst coming. Her mom had simply mentioned that since high school was over, we didn't have to worry about dating distracting us from our grades anymore. She suggested that while we were free from the stress of finals, Olivia and I should take a road trip together and just enjoy ourselves. Olivia snapped instantly, screaming at her mother, "Could you stop constantly trying to set us up? You have no idea what he's really like, Mom. I don't even like him." Then, she violently threw her fork into the middle of the pot roast I loved so much. The entire meal our moms had spent all afternoon preparing was ruined in a second. Gravy splashed right into my eye, stinging so badly that I had to drop my pizza pocket immediately. I tugged on my mom's sleeve, squinting through the pain. "Mom, I need a napkin fast." Olivia's mom rushed over to check on me before spinning around and smacking Olivia on the back of the head. "What is wrong with you? Are you crazy? You've been telling everyone you were in love with Lucas since you were in kindergarten. You were the one who begged us to move. Your father and I went through so much trouble just to buy the house next door to the Millers, and now you're acting like a lunatic." Olivia bit her lip and shot me a venomous look. Me like him? There is nothing to like about a fake-ass guy who does nothing but study and plays the victim every time something doesn't go his way. "Oh, what's the matter, Lucas? Are you going to start whimpering and acting like a victim now? You think I don't see right through your little act? Well, load of crap. I'm a high school graduate, not a professional actor." I held a napkin over one eye and used the other to stare at Olivia. Her eyes were bloodshot, and she was huffing like she'd just run a marathon. To be honest, she looked less like my best friend and more like a rabid dog. I patted my mom's hand to calm her down and gave my dad a look that said it wasn't worth it. I turned to Olivia's parents and spoke up. "Mrs. Jenkins, Mr. Jenkins, I think Olivia is just having a rough day. Maybe we should just call it a night. I'll be fine. My eye just stings a bit. No big deal. Olivia's always been blunt, so maybe she just really doesn't like me anymore." I looked down at the floor, doing my best to look completely crushed. By the time they left, Mr. Jenkins looked absolutely livid. I had a feeling Olivia was in for a massive grounding when they got home, but honestly, she deserved it. Once they were gone, my mom found some saline to flush out my eye. My dad sat at the table for a while trying to figure out what had gotten into Olivia, but he was completely stumped. Mom kept putting drops in my eye while telling Dad to stop overthinking it and be quiet. "Do you get charged by the word or something? Can you just be quiet for a minute? She insulted our son like that, and you're still trying to analyze her psyche." My dad just shrugged casually and said, "Look, she's never acted like this before. A personality flip that fast usually has a catalyst." Mom snatched my dad's phone right out of his hand. "Let me see what brilliant research you've been doing, because I doubt you found anything useful." Honestly, I was curious too, so I leaned in to see what he'd been Googling. I was shocked to see that Dad wasn't looking for relationship advice at all. His search history was full of things like, can a sudden personality change be a sign of a psychotic break? And what mental illnesses cause uncontrollable verbal abuse? And how to tell your neighbors their kid might be mentally unstable. I gave my dad a thumbs up. "Dad, you're on a whole different level. I just wanted Olivia to get grounded, but you're ready to have her committed to an asylum." My dad just scoffed. If I believed in the supernatural, I'd be telling her dad to call a priest for an exorcism right about now. "Normal people don't just wake up one day and decide to be a completely different person," he muttered. It was weird, though. Olivia had never been anything but supportive of me before tonight. Last year, Olivia realized her GPA wasn't high enough to get into the same college as me. She started studying like a maniac, even taping vocabulary lists to her bathroom mirror. Just last month, she walked up to me in front of half the school, blushing furiously, and shoved a jar of hand-folded paper stars into my hands. I ended up unfolding a few of them later, and every single one said something like, "I hope Lucas and I stay together forever." If she'd just said it once, I might not have been so shocked by her outburst, but she'd been so consistent about it. Olivia made a point of walking home with me every single day. Last week, she was clearly coming down with something, but she still insisted on waiting for me outside in the sweltering heat. I ended up being late because I'd spilled something on my jeans and had to change. She wouldn't leave without me and ended up getting heat stroke just from waiting. Even if we weren't in love, we've been best friends since we were in diapers. But today was the first time I realized that my lifelong friend actually harbored a deep, hidden resentment toward me. If she hated me, then what about all those times she got into fights defending me? Or the coffee she'd bring me every morning? Or all the expensive birthday gifts she'd saved up months to buy? Was she forced to do all that? If she felt so pressured, why didn't she just say something? Can someone really fake a friendship for over a decade? While I was spiraling with these questions, my phone buzzed with an iMessage from Olivia. It said, "Meet me at our spot. I need to check something with you." I just raised an eyebrow. Even if she was planning to apologize, I wasn't in the mood to forgive her that easily. Still, I was dying to know what had triggered that explosion at dinner. After a moment of hesitation, I finally texted her back. "Just text me whatever it is. I'm worried if we meet in person, you'll snap and try to bite me, and I hear rabies shots are a real pain." A few minutes later, her reply left me completely baffled. I was starting to think my dad was right about the mental breakdown. "You've finally shown your true colors, Lucas," the text read. "You played the part of the nice guy for years, but you're really just a manipulative snake." I just rubbed my temples, trying to ignore the sting of her words, and immediately blocked her on iMessage. Communicating with another species was clearly too much work, so I gave up. Just then, my dad wandered into my room with a plate of sliced watermelon. "Lucas, based on some intel I've gathered, I think I figured out why Olivia went off the deep end." My mom was right behind him, looking even more impatient than I was. "Stop being so dramatic and just tell us. Do we have to pay you for every word now?" Dad just gave a knowing smirk and said, "Her rebellious phase just hit her a few years late." I sighed, took the watermelon from him, and gave my mom a silent signal. She nodded understandingly, grabbed Dad by the ear, and dragged him out of the room. As his protests and pleas for mercy faded down the hall, I quietly shut the door. Finally, I was alone. A few tears hit the watermelon slices on my lap. This was a terrible watermelon. For some reason, every single piece tasted both sweet and salty. How could I not be devastated? We'd been in each other's lives for 15 years, not 15 days. Olivia was part of almost every major memory I had growing up. She wasn't just a friend. She was a core part of who I was. I honestly thought we were going to end up together. When we were younger, she would never take a water bottle from anyone but me after a game. And I turned down every other girl who ever tried to give me a gift or a note. There was this one time we went on a picnic and ran into a rattlesnake, and she didn't even hesitate to step in front of me. After she woke up in the hospital, she tugged on my sleeve and pointed to the puncture marks on her leg. "Hey, Lucas, does this count as the hero saving the damsel in distress?" What's the next line in the script usually? I looked at how pale her lips were, and I couldn't stop the tears from falling. Even then, she was trying to cheer me up. "I'm fine, really. If that snake had bitten you, you'd probably have cried for a week straight." She still has the scar on her leg, and every time I saw it, I was reminded of how she stood up for me. But now, she's just thrown all of that away and spat on her history. She took 15 years of friendship and boiled it down to one insult: manipulative snake. I wiped my face and started gathering everything Olivia had ever given me. Over 15 years, she'd given me so much that it was overwhelming. I grabbed a large suitcase and packed it all away, piece by piece, and when I clicked the latches shut, I felt like I was locking away all those memories for good. Relationships are such strange, fragile things. It's hard to believe that someone who once risked their life for me could be so cruel now. But whatever, it doesn't matter anymore. Nobody is obligated to stay in your life forever. We had a good run, but I guess this is where we go our separate ways. My dad was the one who dropped the suitcase off at the Jenkins house. When he got back, he looked pretty bothered, and he sat me down and asked, "Lucas, be honest with me. Do you still have feelings for that girl?" Did I? When I thought of her now, the first thing that came to mind wasn't the picnic or the stars. It was the sting of gravy in my eye. I'm a sentimental person, but I have a very low tolerance for pain. I didn't even have to think about it before the answer came out. No, I don't. Right as the words left my mouth, Olivia's voice rang out from behind us. "See, Mr. Miller? I told you. He's just a manipulative prick who plays with people's feelings." I turned around, looked her straight in the eye, and said in my coldest voice, "Olivia, that's twice now." She wasn't alone, either. There was some guy in a preppy outfit clinging to her arm like he was glued there. Olivia just scowled at me and asked, "What do you mean the second time? You saved my life once, so I'm giving you a pass out of respect for that. I'll let the insult slide once or twice, but Olivia, don't try me a third time." Olivia looked a bit taken back, but the guy next to her just snickered. "Wow, you're a good actor. Is this the playing hard to get routine?" It was like a light bulb went off in Olivia's head, and she gave me this gotcha look. "You really have become quite the manipulator, haven't you, Lucas?" In all the years I'd known her, I'd never realized she was so incapable of thinking for herself. I took a deep breath and looked at my dad. "I don't care why these two lunatics are here. Just get them off her property. We aren't running an asylum, so let's keep the crazies out." My dad didn't need to be told twice. Without a word, he grabbed Olivia by the back of her jacket and hauled her toward the gate while she kicked and screamed. Her little accessory of a boyfriend scrambled after them, looking way too concerned for someone who'd only known her for 5 minutes. He kept yelling things like, "Hey, you can't be so rough. Watch out, don't hurt her." Once they were outside the gate, the guy started hovering over her, acting like he was checking her for injuries. I watched from the window for a while, and he was still fussing over her like they were in a bad soap opera. My dad stood next to me, watching the show, and handed me an apple. "Look at those two. It's like they think they're the leads in some teen romance movie." I took a huge bite of the apple, feeling more confused and sad. I couldn't figure out why she was clutching her face when my dad had only grabbed her by the jacket. Is this really the kind of guy Olivia is into now? I guess I'm definitely not her type then. It must have been exhausting for her to fake being my friend all those years. Over the next few weeks, I started getting DMs and photos from old classmates who kept spotting her out and about. That's how I found out the guy's name was Tyler Vance, and apparently, he went to our high school too. He was one of those golden boys everyone obsessed over. While the rest of us were buried in textbooks and looking like zombies, he'd already built a following as a clean-cut influencer after one of his school photos went viral. Their relationship was all over social media, and they were constantly posting about how perfect they were. She took Tyler to every single spot she and I used to hang out at, and she made sure to introduce him to all our old friends. Whenever someone asked about me, Olivia's only response was, "Lucas. Oh, we were just neighbors. We weren't actually close." I could practically feel the pity and judgment coming through the screen every time a friend messaged me about it. Some people felt sorry for me, others were annoyed, and a few were definitely enjoying the drama. I knew all those accidental sightings weren't accidents. Olivia was just using our social circle to send me a message. She was going out of her way to prove that I was nothing special to her. We planned a trip to Universal Studios for after graduation, and she went with Tyler instead. She had a song she'd promised to only play for me, and I saw a video of her playing it for him. She even gave the portrait I'd painted of her to Tyler, and he posted a picture of it hanging in his bathroom as a joke. Olivia was systematically erasing every trace of our friendship from my life. Eventually, I just stopped caring. So when one of Olivia's little followers called me, I didn't even give him a chance to speak before I cut him off. "Listen, I don't want to hear another word about her. We weren't even that close, and since I've moved away, we aren't even neighbors. Lose my number." I heard something smash on the other end of the line, followed by a sharp gasp. A second later, Olivia snatched the phone. When the hell did you move? Where are you? Her voice was raw and shaking. Lucas, you can't just leave without telling me. I rolled my eyes so hard it hurt. Look, crazy, stop worrying about what normal people do and go see a therapist already. You're lying, Lucas. You're just trying to make me regret what I said, aren't you? Well, it's not going to work. I'm never going to regret choosing Tyler. He treats me like a queen, he loves me, and he actually listens to me. I was completely done with her drama, so I just hung up and blocked the number. Whether she regretted it or not was the last of my concerns. I tossed my phone onto the rug and sprawled out on the couch in our new Minnesota house, rubbing my stomach. I know the food here is good, but you can't just inhale a whole rotisserie chicken and a pack of bratwurst and then pass out, my mom yelled from the kitchen. She came over and poked at my hair with 2 fingers, looking horrified. Lucas Miller, if you don't wash your hair right now, I could fry an egg in that grease. She grabbed a paper towel and wiped her fingers like she'd touched something toxic. Apparently, 16 days of me moping around the house was the limit for my mother's patience. Get in the shower right now. You're going for a walk with me tonight before your legs actually forget how to function. Before I could even protest, my dad walked in the front door with some neighbors, looking incredibly proud. My boy here just got into the University of Minnesota. Same as your daughter, Olivia, he announced. Look at him, isn't he a sharp-looking kid? Every head in the room turned toward me, and I just sat there in my pajamas. He looks like a smart young man, one of the neighbors said politely. It's nice to see a kid who's actually calm and composed for once. I just sat there with a frozen smile, nodding like a bobblehead while dying inside. I really wish they'd given me 5 minutes to change out of my oversized shark onesie before the neighborhood meet and greet started. Of course, my dad didn't see the problem with my outfit at all. Every time someone gave a polite compliment, he'd just nod like they were stating a universal truth. I could feel my face getting hotter by the second, and I just kept fiddling with the fabric of my pocket. Then I looked up and saw a girl with the most beautiful, laughing eyes. She was wow. Looking at her made me desperately wish I'd washed my hair that morning. She was stunning, like she'd just stepped off the set of a high-end fashion shoot. Seriously, what are the odds? I look like a total slob, and that's when I meet the most beautiful girl in the neighborhood. I tried to catch my dad's. I had a signal that I needed an immediate exit to change. Naturally, my dad completely misread my signal and just winked back at me. Lucas, this is Olivia Harrison. She's also starting at the U next month. Why don't you show her the backyard? I'm sure you two have plenty to talk about. Our backyard was literally a patch of dirt and construction debris. I closed my eyes, wishing the earth would swallow me whole. Thankfully, Olivia wasn't just beautiful. She actually had some social awareness. Mr. Miller, my dad actually has some vintage wine he wanted to send over. Why don't I take Lucas with me to help carry it? I didn't wait for a second invitation. Great idea. Let me just go throw some real clothes on first. Pro tip: if someone looks good but is wearing a beanie, there's a 90% chance their hair is a disaster. To make matters worse, it was incredibly windy out. I stood there awkwardly, clutching my hat for dear life, while Olivia pulled the wine from her car. So, going to get it meant walking 10 feet to her driveway. Olivia saw the look on my face and started laughing again. She had the best laugh. Trust me, when the parents get together, they'll be talking for hours. Why don't we just take a walk around the block instead? She suggested. I could tell you were dying in there, so I figured I'd rescue you. She looked at me a bit shyly and asked, was that too much? I hope I'm not overstepping. Olivia was actually a bit taller than me, and when she leaned down to look me in the eyes, I finally understood what people meant when they said beauty could be dangerous. My brain was a bit scrambled, and I just shook my head rapidly. No, not at all. Thank you. But I stopped paying attention for 1 second, and a massive gust of wind sent my beanie flying. We both just stood there as my hat sailed across the street and into traffic. It wasn't just my hat that was gone. It was my last shred of dignity and any hope of a good first impression. Olivia cleared her throat, tried to hide a smile. You know, I've been meaning to get my hair trimmed. If you aren't busy, would you mind coming with me? I could use a second opinion on the style. As I nodded, I couldn't help but think how incredibly sweet and tactful she was. Later that night at dinner, Olivia's mom sat next to me and started venting about her daughter. "Don't let the pretty face fool you, Lucas. She's been a handful since the day she was born, and she's got a tongue like a viper when she wants to." She laughed, patting my hand. "If she ever gives you any attitude, you just let me know and I'll straighten her out." I touched my fresh haircut and looked at Olivia, who was acting perfectly innocent, and figured her mom was just being humble. I had no idea at the time that her mother was actually underselling it. Olivia's sarcasm was so sharp it could probably cut through steel. The thing was, she just never used that sharp tongue on me. My mom was complaining to her about how I was always cooped up in the house because I didn't know anyone in town yet. Olivia just nodded along politely. It turned out she was a woman of action. From that day on, every time she had a free moment, she'd swing by and drag me out to explore the best food spots in the city. She'd even bring a few of her friends along sometimes, just so I wouldn't feel awkward being alone with her. Every time we hung out, they'd all compete to show me the coolest spots in Minneapolis. They had a whole system down. One person would grab a table, another would order, and Olivia usually insisted on picking up the tab. It was a well-oiled machine. We went for barbecue, juicy burgers, authentic diners, and everything in between. Even when we were stuffed, we'd end up at some crowded street fair for dessert and fresh fruit smoothies. We'd spend our nights walking around the lakes, always grabbing ice cream before heading home. After a month of this, my mom saw that I'd gained about 15 pounds and finally stopped nagging me to get out of the house. My life would have been perfect if Olivia Jenkins hadn't also been accepted to the University of Minnesota. On move-in day, my parents were busy helping me set up my dorm room and sent me out to get some water just to get me out of their hair. I had just stepped out of the building when I saw Olivia walking toward me with Tyler literally draped over her. The second she saw me, she sped up, and when she noticed me looking at Tyler's hand on her arm, she practically shoved him off her. She marched right up to me, her eyes looking red and exhausted. "Lucas, how could you just leave without a word and block my number?" she demanded. "If you hate me so much, why did you follow me to this university?" It was move-in day, so the quad was packed. Her whole betrayed lover act was already drawing a crowd, and Tyler made it worse by pointing a finger at me and screeching. "You fake little prick! Are you still trying to manipulate her?" he yelled. "She's with me now, so why are you still stalking her? I know exactly what you're trying to do, and I'm not letting you play her again." I could see a crowd forming around us, and I just shook my head with a sigh. "Could you two at least get your story straight first?" I blocked her, and I blocked every single person we both know. Now he's claiming I'm obsessed with her? Does that even make sense to you? Olivia's face went bright red. She opened her mouth to argue, but I cut her off. "Olivia, seeing you like this just makes me realize how embarrassing it is that I ever called you my friend." I shot Tyler a look of pure disgust and turned to walk away. I barely made it 2 steps before Olivia grabbed my wrist, her grip like iron. "Lucas, you tell me right now, what the hell do you mean by that? This is your fault. You were the one who kept leading me on and then throwing it back in my face." Olivia was actually surprisingly strong, and I couldn't shake her off no matter how hard I tried. I was just about to consider some self-defense moves when Sophia appeared out of nowhere. Wow, in broad daylight and everything. Are we really doing this in the middle of campus? Even with everyone watching, Sophia kept it classy and didn't start a fist fight. She just grabbed Olivia's wrist and slammed her heel down onto Olivia's foot. Olivia let out a sharp yelp and let go of me instantly. Sophia pulled me close and took a cold bottle of water from her bag, pressing it against my red wrist. Olivia hobbled back a few steps, glaring at Sophia with pure hatred. "Lucas, who is this?" Sophia just rolled her eyes. "I'm just a concerned student doing some community service. And seriously, what kind of girl puts her hands on a guy like that?" After shutting Olivia down, she leaned in and whispered, "Is this some frenemy drama?" I shook my head. "We aren't friends. She's just a neighbor from back home." Hearing that, Sophia's whole demeanor changed as she stood up tall. I figured, someone like her definitely doesn't deserve to be anywhere near you. She tilted her head back, looking down her nose at Olivia. "Let me introduce myself properly. Our families are old friends, and Lucas is basically like a younger brother to me." Olivia looked stunned, but before she could respond, Tyler sidled up to them. Hey, you might not know the full story. This guy was leading Olivia on for years, and she's only upset because she finally realized he was just using her. Sophia just frowned at him. And who are you supposed to be? Tyler struck a pose, running a hand through his hair with a smug grin. We went to high school together. I was pretty busy with my modeling and brand deals, so I wasn't on campus much, but Sophia cut him off with a loud scoff. You two are a couple, right? Tyler blinked, suddenly looking a bit shy. I mean, we're still seeing where things go, but we're pretty close. As he spoke, he tried to reach out and touch Sophia's arm. Sophia didn't even let him get close. She grabbed my arm and pulled me back several feet. Keep your distance, man. The scent of desperation is so strong, it's giving me a headache. Are you going to pay for my aspirin? Tyler just stood there, confused. What smell? I'm not wearing any cologne. Sophia just sneered. The smell of a fake. Honestly, you're so full of it that if you stepped in a lake, the whole city would be drinking bitter tea for a week. With that, she grabbed my hand and led me away. As we walked, I could hear her muttering under her breath. The admissions office really needs to start doing psychiatric evaluations along with SAT scores. If you put those two in a psych ward, the other patients would probably complain. Imagine if they snapped on campus and started breaking things. It would be a total PR nightmare for the university. I don't want to have to tell people I lived in the same dorm as a couple of lunatics. I was so out of it that I didn't even realize she was still holding my hand until we reached my room. My mom looked up from a suitcase and frowned. I sent you for water, Lucas. Where is it? Sophia just lifted the bag in her hand. Right here, Mrs. Miller. Mom took the water and then looked pointedly at our joined hands. I was starting to think you'd gone out for a drink and came back with a girlfriend. Sophia just laughed, finally letting go of my hand before dragging my dad out in the hall to talk. Even after my parents left for the day, I couldn't get a single word out of them about what they discussed. The only thing I knew for sure was that from that moment on, my dad started giving Sophia the suspicious, overprotective father glare. It didn't take long for everyone in my dorm to start calling Sophia the head of security. She walked me to the dining hall, escorted me to class, and even when my friends and I went out, she and her crew were always right there. She always just said, the more the merrier, right? 2 months into the semester, I was complaining about her to my mom on the phone. I swear, I don't think she actually goes to her own classes with how much she follows me around. After I hung up, my roommate, Chloe, popped a strawberry Sophia had brought us in her mouth and nudged me. She's just making sure that crazy neighbor of yours doesn't try anything again, Chloe said, poking me in the forehead. And seriously, Lucas, she's clearly into you. How have you not realized she's courting you? Use your head. She has her own heavy course load, and her building is all the way across campus. You think it's easy for her to coordinate her schedule just to walk you to class every day? She held up the bag of snacks Sophia had left for us. I mean, look at this. She doesn't just buy fruit. She washes it and prepares it for the whole room. If she isn't head over heels for you, I'll eat my hat. My phone buzzed right then with a message from Sophia. Hey, I found a steakhouse that has that dry-aged ribeye you were talking about. Want to go check it out this Saturday? It finally hit me. She really did like me. I flopped onto my bed and buried my face in the pillow, replaying every moment we'd spent together since that first day in my shark onesie. Chloe was right. It all made sense now. If she didn't care, there's no way she'd remember every little thing I'd ever mentioned in passing. I'd only brought up that specific steak once during a random conversation. I wasn't some oblivious robot. I could see it now. But after everything that happened with Olivia, I was terrified of misreading the situation. What if I was just projecting my own feelings? Olivia had been nice to me for 15 years, and look how that ended. Still, Sophia felt different. I ended up skipping the steak dinner, and I couldn't bring myself to ask her what her intentions were. I just sent a quick text saying something had come up at home, and I couldn't make it. Whenever she called after that, I just told her I was buried in schoolwork. I stopped accepting the snacks she brought and even sent her some money on Venmo to cover the cost of everything she'd bought me so far. Chloe saw I was serious and helped me pack up the latest batch of groceries to return to Sophia. When she came back and saw my bloodshot eyes, She looked completely bewildered. Okay, what is going on with you guys? Did she actually do something to upset you? I just shook my head. She hadn't done anything wrong at all. I couldn't exactly explain that I was just terrified of being hurt again. By Sunday, I'd finally worked up the courage to get some answers. I dressed up, fixed my hair, and headed to the restaurant where they were hanging out, determined to see where we stood. But as I reached the door of their private room, I heard one of Sophia's friends teasing her. So, Sophia, that cute guy you're always with, is he a new boyfriend? The friend asked. You're totally into him, aren't you? I couldn't help but smile, waiting for her answer. To my horror, Sophia was silent for a long moment before she gave a cold, detached reply. Can we just eat? Don't start rumors like that. There's absolutely nothing going on between us. I stood frozen, feeling like someone had just dumped a bucket of ice water over my head. I turned and practically sprinted out of the restaurant. I felt like such an idiot. How could I let myself be fooled twice by the exact same thing? I ignored Sophia for an entire week, refusing to even look in her direction. Then, one afternoon, one of her friends came running up to me, out of breath and looking panicked. Lucas, you have to come quick. Sophie is in a huge fight with that crazy neighbor girl of yours. I hesitated for a second, but then I started running. Even if she didn't love me, she'd still been a great friend to me. And if she was fighting with Olivia, I knew it had to be about me. What if she was hurt? My mind was racing with worst-case scenarios the whole way there. But when I finally arrived, I was shocked to see Olivia on the ground, not Sophia. Sophia was standing there looking completely fine, pressing a cold bottle of water to a small bruise on her forehead. She was busy roasting Olivia. Honestly, I don't know where you get the audacity to talk like that. You must have inherited all the nastiness of your entire bloodline. Look at you, all curled up like a wet rag. You better tuck yourself in tight tonight, or a rat might mistake you for a relative. She sighed, shaking her head. You're so small, yet you talk such a big game. Olivia saw me and tried to scramble to her feet. Lucas, I knew you still cared, she cried out. I didn't even look at her. I just stepped around her and went straight to Sophia. Are you okay? Where are you hurt? Olivia screamed behind me. Lucas, are you really falling for her? Do you just love playing with girls' hearts that much? Before she could finish her sentence, Sophia shoved the towel right into her mouth. If you can't keep that mouth clean, I'll be happy to find a toilet to wash it out for you, Sophia snapped. You clearly aren't built for polite society. You'd be much more comfortable in the gutter. Once she was sure Olivia was quiet, Sophia turned to me with the most pathetic puppy dog eyes I'd ever seen. Lucas, I'm hurt. Look, my face stings, my hand hurts, everything hurts. Before I could even respond, her friends crowded around us. They all started teasing her immediately. Oh no, it hurts? Where does it hurt exactly? One of them joked. It's her poor little heart that's broken, another chimed in. Come on, Sophia, let us bros walk you to the clinic. Yeah, Lucas looks way too delicate to carry you. Let the heavy hitters handle it. Sophia just pouted at me. See, Lucas, this is what I have to deal with. Everyone is against me today. Her friends all laughed and backed away, leaving us alone. I sighed and finally grabbed her hand, pulling her toward the campus clinic. I could hear them cheering behind us, but I just kept walking. Sophia only had a few minor scrapes, but she was acting like she'd survived a war. She gripped my hand tightly and wouldn't let go, staring at me with those eyes. I'm not letting go, Lucas. I literally had to get into a brawl just to get you to look at me. You have to tell me why you've been ghosting me all week. I'll admit it. I'm a total sucker for a pretty face. Seeing her like this made all my resolve crumble. I stopped trying to pull my hand away and just looked at the floor. I just think, maybe we're getting a little too close for just friends. I don't think this is going to end well for either of us. I added, though I didn't mention my fear that she'd end up hurting me like Olivia did. Sophia's brow furrowed. But Lucas, I never wanted to just be your friend. I want to be your girlfriend. Liar, I said, finally wrenching my hand away. I let out a bitter laugh. I was at a restaurant the other night, Sophia. I heard your friends ask if you liked me, and I heard you tell them there was absolutely nothing going on. Sophia looked completely stunned, her eyes wide as she searched for words. I just shook my head. I'm not into mind games or ambiguous situationships, Sophia. I really appreciate everything you've done for me since I moved here, but I think it's best if we just stop seeing each other. I turned on my heel and walked out before I could lose my composure. The hallway was silent, save for my own shaky breaths and the sound of Sophia's heavy sigh behind me. Just as I was about to close the door, I heard her gasp. "Wait, I remember now," she yelled, stumbling out of the room after me. She reached out to grab my hand again, but I shot her a look that made her pull back instantly, looking like a kicked puppy. "Lucas, you misunderstood. I wasn't saying I didn't like you. I just meant that I hadn't earned a right to call you my boyfriend yet. I can joke about anything else, but when it comes to you, I want to do things right. I want it to be serious. If you don't believe me, I'll call the whole gang back here right now and let you interrogate them separately. You can even use truth serum if you want. I swear their stories will match." She saw that I was actually crying now and panicked, fumbling through her pockets until she found a pack of tissues. "I'm so sorry, Lucas. I should have just been honest from the start. I'm crazy about you. Please don't cry." She looked desperate. "Look, you can hit me if it'll make you feel better. Seriously, take a swing. Whatever it takes to make you stop crying." I took the tissues and gently pushed her hand away. "I'm not going to hit you, Sophia." She immediately tried to move closer. "So, if I'm not getting punched, can I still walk you to class? I mean, look at Olivia. I'll leave you alone for 5 minutes, and she's already trying to sink her claws back in. She didn't even have her little boy toy with her today. She just came straight for me." I finally let out a small laugh and rolled my eyes. "Fine, whatever." From that day on, Sophia made it her mission to confess her love for me every single morning. She didn't just stop at texts either. She was constantly trying to pull off these romantic stunts in person. I'm talking drones, flash mobs, heart-shaped candle displays in the middle of the quad. Everything. One time, in the middle of lunch, she pulled out a literal armful of roses and started arranging them in a vase right on the cafeteria table. We ended up getting stuck in the doorway on the way out because the bouquet was too wide to fit. We had to stand there awkwardly deconstructing the arrangement while half the student body tried to squeeze past us. Of course, we had to listen to people making jokes about young love the whole time. The restaurant owner just stood there laughing and pointed at the door. "Don't mind them. The flowers are beautiful. It's my fault for having such narrow doors." At that point, I was really starting to miss the version of Sophia that didn't try so hard. At least back then, I wasn't being publicly humiliated on a daily basis. By late October, Minneapolis got hit with its first major blizzard. Sophia spent the entire day in my front yard, building a massive snowman that was actually taller than me, holding a giant snow heart. She'd actually hidden my birthday present inside the snowman. It wasn't until I asked where my gift was that she realized how poorly she'd thought it through. If we smashed the snowman she'd worked on all day, it would be a waste, but if we didn't, I wouldn't get my gift until the spring thaw. We were still standing there laughing at the ridiculous situation when the mood was ruined. Olivia Jenkins pulled up to the curb and started walking toward my front gate. Sophia didn't hesitate. She marched over, shoved Olivia back onto the sidewalk, and locked the gate before dragging me inside. Olivia just stood there yelling at the top of her lungs, "Lucas, come on, let's just make up. I'm not mad anymore. Just stay away from her." Sophia just scoffed, peeling an orange and meticulously removing the white pith. "That girl is seriously disturbed. You know, the only reason I fought her before was because she started telling me how manipulative you were. I told her that even if you were, I'd probably just find it impressive. I knew right then she was crazy. She's got the IQ of a goldfish. I have no idea how she even got into college." I was just about to eat the orange when my phone rang. It was an unknown number, but I knew it was Olivia. "Lucas, you have to listen. It wasn't all my fault. Tyler was the one who convinced me that since you never responded to my confession, you were just leading me on. I wanted to just hang up, but I couldn't help myself." "Olivia, are you delusional? You never confessed to me in your life." Olivia sounded like she was on the verge of a breakdown. "The jar of stars. I wrote it in the stars. You told me you'd give me an answer after graduation, but then I found that exact same jar in a trash can at the school clinic a few weeks later. Tyler was the one who helped me realize you were just messing with my head." I just stared at the phone. Sophia was right. This girl was completely gone. "Olivia, you bought that jar in the paper of the shop right across from the school, didn't you?" Do you really think you were the only person in a school of 2,000 people who bought that specific set? The jar you gave me is currently in that suitcase my dad dropped off at your place. And seriously, it was senior year. What kind of answer were you expecting? Was it really so urgent that it couldn't wait until we actually graduated? And as for Tyler, you've known me for 15 years, yet you're willing to believe some guy you just met over me? It's pretty clear our friendship didn't mean as much to you as it did to me. Don't call me again. I hung up and blocked the new number immediately. Sophia let out a massive sigh of relief. Phew, you had me worried there. I thought maybe there was some grand misunderstanding I'd have to compete with. Turns out she's just an idiot. I'm almost embarrassed to consider her a rival. Having a girlfriend this cocky was going to be a challenge. I gave her a look, and she just covered her mouth and gave me a wink. God, she had beautiful eyes. I was in trouble. She definitely knew exactly how to use her charms to get her way with me. The blizzard raged all night long, and apparently, Olivia stayed out there through the whole thing. When I woke up and looked out the window, there were 2 snowmen in the yard. Sophia hadn't left either. She was already in the kitchen helping my mom make breakfast. My mom looked up as I walked in and nodded toward the window. So what's the plan? We can't exactly let her freeze to death on the sidewalk. Her dad is still your father's oldest friend. I thought Mom was going to suggest letting her in, but she surprised me. Actually, maybe we should just go out there with a shovel, knock her out, and call an ambulance. That way, we fulfilled our moral obligation to keep her alive without having to talk to her. Sophia set down the dough she was working with. Lucas, do you want to talk to her? I shook my head immediately. She wiped her hands on her apron and gave me a firm nod. Got it. I'll handle it. My mom moved to stop her, thinking Sophia was going out there to start another fight. Instead, Sophia just pulled out her phone. Hey, is this neighborhood security? Yeah, there's been a girl standing outside 15 Kinsley Way for about 12 hours now. She doesn't live here, and she's looking pretty suspicious. I'm worried she's going to freeze to death on our curb, and I'd hate for the homeowners association to be liable for that. She finished the call, set her phone down, and went right back to making breakfast. She kept muttering to herself as she worked. I mean, we pay those HOA fees for a reason, right? Might as well use the security. They might not get involved in relationship drama, but they definitely don't want a corpse on the sidewalk. I'd hate for her to die right in front of our house. It would be such a vibe killer. I peeked out the window and saw a security SUV pulled up with 2 guards talking to Olivia and gesturing for her to leave. Problem solved. I pulled up a chair to watch them cook. Sophia lined up her perfectly shaped breakfast burritos in front of me. My mom always told me that if you can cook well, you'll land a handsome husband. I've been practicing my whole life just so I'd be ready for you. My dad cut her off with a huff. You kids are way too young to be talking about marriage. Let's worry about that after you actually get your degrees. And honestly, after that day, I never saw Olivia Jenkins again. Sophia and I spent our college years completely inseparable, just enjoying each other's company and exploring the city. Life was pretty much a series of good days and even better days. It wasn't until our senior year that things finally got a little complicated again. I have no idea what was going through Tyler Vance's head, but he posted a TikTok of himself holding a positive pregnancy test. He started making all these wild claims that I was trying to break them up and had been trying to seduce Olivia away from him for years. He even posted old screenshots of the text Olivia had sent me and took photos of all the gifts I'd given her back in high school. But the comments section didn't go the way he expected. Everyone was just roasting him. Are you serious? Your girlfriend was the one harassing him. How is that his fault? One comment read. Another said, you're showing us all the texts she sent him, but you're conveniently ignoring the fact that his side of the conversation is just a bunch of red undelivered icons because he blocked her. I know this guy. I saw him at a party, once accusing a random person of flirting with his girlfriend just for standing near her. He's totally paranoid and needs help. I wasn't about to let him use me for clout. I called my lawyer immediately and then posted a detailed timeline of events on my own Twitter, debunking every single one of his lies with cold, hard facts. Just because you're the first one to post a video doesn't mean you're telling the truth, and the internet isn't as dumb as he thought. That stunt pretty much ended his career as an influencer. Olivia was the only one just as unstable as he was. After she paid out a settlement for the defamation case I brought against them, they actually got married in a tiny ceremony that nobody even attended. They decided to keep the baby, too. On her wedding day, Olivia sent me one last iMessage. "I'm sorry, Lucas. I can't wait for you to come around anymore. I have to do right by Tyler now." I was in the middle of a gaming session with Sophia when I saw the notification. Sophia was resting her chin on my head, and she just snorted when she saw the screen. She tossed her controller onto the sofa and covered my eyes with her hand. "Don't even bother reading that. She's out of her mind." I blinked, my eyelashes brushing against her palm. I was just going to block her anyway. It's not like I care. I felt a soft, fleeting kiss on my cheek before she pulled away. "I know," she teased. "Lucas has very high standards. He only likes the beautiful ones, like me." She was so full of herself. On the day of my graduation, Sophia's dad invited my whole family out for a celebratory dinner. When we got to the private room, Sophia suddenly produced a black blindfold. "Hey, do you want to play a game?" she asked with a mischievous grin. My eyes went wide. Since when did she get so adventurous? I was definitely surprised by the turn of events. I let her tie the blindfold around my eyes and sat there in the chair, waiting to see what she had planned. I could hear her breathing getting a bit heavier as she leaned closer. I sat there with my head tilted back for what felt like forever, my neck getting stiff, but Sophia didn't actually do anything. I asked her what she was doing a few times, but she didn't answer. I could feel her presence right in front of me, though. Eventually, I lost my patience and ripped off the blindfold. Sophia was kneeling there, clutching a small velvet box. Her face was bright red, and she was actually sweating from nerves. "What is that?" I asked, breathless. She bit her lip and pushed the box toward me with a very serious expression. "Lucas, my bank cards are in here, and the house is already in your name. We can sign a prenup with a loyalty clause if you want, and you have the password to every account I own. I've even made you the beneficiary on my insurance." She looked me dead in the eye. "I'm giving you everything I am and everything I own." I just nodded, my heart pounding. And usually, Sophia always had a comeback, but she was struggling to get the words out now. She looked like she was about to trip over her own tongue. She fumbled with the latch for a second before the box finally clicked open. "So, Lucas, will you marry me?" Inside was a ring with a stunning square-cut sapphire. It was the exact one I'd pointed out on TikTok a few months ago. She'd always been like that. If I ever mentioned liking something, even in passing, she'd make a mental note of it and eventually find a way to get it for me. How could I not say yes? She'd been my rock for years, laughing with me and putting up with my moods. She knew me better than anyone, and she was completely devoted to me. Most importantly, she was smart enough to trust me no matter what anyone else said. I knew right then that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. But before I could even get the word yes out, my dad's voice boomed from the doorway. "Absolutely not. You haven't even walked across the stage yet. Harrison, just because you don't have a son doesn't mean you can just steal mine," my dad yelled at Sophia's father. "Oh, come on, Miller." Mr. Harrison laughed. "When they get married, you aren't losing a son. You're gaining a daughter. It's a win-win." While our dads were busy arguing, I reached out and slipped a ring onto my finger. I leaned in and whispered in Sophia's ear, yes, 1,000 times yes. Olivia Jenkins' side story. I was such a fool. I'd always known Lucas was the one for me, and he'd never even looked at another girl before growing up. He used to be so good to me. How could I have been so stupid to listen to Tyler Courtney? On the day of his wedding to Sophia, I was standing across the street, holding my toddler and pushing a stroller, watching him step out of the door. He looked incredible in his tuxedo, exactly how I'd always pictured him on our wedding day. But the woman standing next to him made my stomach turn. She had this smug grin on her face that I just couldn't stand. When the baby started screaming, my first instinct was to hide, but then a part of me hoped he'd hear the crying and look my way. But then the music started, and the cheers of the crowd drowned everything else out. Naturally, that was the moment the baby decided to finally be quiet. And of course, that was when Tyler caught up to me. "I knew I'd find you here. You're still obsessed with him, aren't you? Have you no shame? You're bringing our kids to watch your ex get married." I set the toddler down and slapped him right across the face. You're the one who manipulated me. I screamed. You're the one who pretended to be my friend and fed me all those lies about Lucas. I only lost him because I was stupid enough to listen to you. I married you like you wanted. I've done my duty. What more do you want from me? Tyler just held his cheek and let out a dry, hollow laugh. Sure, I played you a little, but honestly, deep down, you never really believed he loved you anyway. When you were asking for my advice, you never mentioned all the sweet things he did for you. You only talked about what you did for him. How was I supposed to know he actually cared? I thought you were just some stalker. The handmade scarves, the watch, the years of study notes. You had all that proof of his love, and you still chose to believe a guy you just met? Honestly, Olivia, you got exactly what you deserved. I was too angry to even breathe. Watching him try to fix his disheveled hair. He used to be the golden boy, but now he just looked like a mess. Tyler grabbed the toddler's hand and wrenched the stroller away from me, looking at me with pure disgust. You know, Olivia, you were a coward in high school, a pathetic cheater in college, and now you're just a miserable housewife with no way out. You never deserved a guy like Lucas, so stop dreaming about it. And since you're apparently fine with hitting me now, I guess you don't even deserve it. I want a divorce. He walked away, his once athletic frame now sluggish and tired, disappearing into the crowd. I stood there in the middle of a busy city, but I felt like I was freezing to death. I used to have the world at my feet, but now I had absolutely nothing. This story is not about love triangles or high school drama. It is about how quickly 15 years of friendship can be erased by insecurity and bad advice. Olivia spent years believing in Lucas, trusting him, even protecting him. But the moment a charming stranger whispered lies in her ear, she turned on everything new. She threw away a lifetime of loyalty for a fantasy. And by the time she realized her mistake, it was too late. Lucas did not wait. He moved on, found someone who actually trusted him, and built a new life without her. The lesson here is painful but clear. Trust is not automatic. It is earned daily, but it can be lost in a single moment of weakness. And when you choose to believe a stranger over someone who has proven himself for years, you are not being cautious. You are being cruel. Olivia did not lose Lucas because he stopped caring. She lost him because she stopped listening to her own heart. In the end, the people who truly love you do not need your opinions. They show up, they stay, and they never make you question things. Everyone else is just a distraction. And distractions, no matter how pretty, will always leave you empty.